Generally, corporate speak is hard. It's been hard for me to adopt because it's so like, there's so many euphemisms. And that's not how I communicate. So I'm like, what do y'all mean? Like, what are y'all talking about?
Cause I'm your sister and always for you. And don't know what I ever do without you from the beginning.
I feel good.
Me too.
Good.
Hey y'all.
Hey
What's
y'all.
up?
It has been a long time.
Months.
Months.
But welcome back to another video.
I want to say we're back, but because we're so busy, I don't want to false
I know,
promise.
and I feel like I false promised my last video because I was like, I got this plan, that plan, and I ain't delivered.
We have the content ideas, we just do not have the same time that we used to.
I know.
But we'll do an update video to talk about all that very soon. Right now, we're bringing a specific video.
Exactly, and we have exciting stuff coming up to start. I know we like, don't want to talk about this? We have exciting stuff coming up. We have someone coming to like photograph us or something really cool.
Ooh, that is true.
Yeah, so, and that'll be a whole video in itself. So we have things in the works. We just
gotta get it to you from here to there to YouTube. But quickly, before we get into the video, we just wanted to talk about the merch. It is finally here.
It's finally here after all this time talking about it. So get your bucket hats.
Yes, we have bucket hats. We have caps.
And we have a bunch of different colors. We got black, white, blue, pink.
And then we want to do like I think we discussed doing like a little giveaway.
Yeah, we gotta give away some merch.
We gotta give away some merch. But how about this? For this video, the first 5 people to comment below that live relatively close, so they live in the DC area, that want to get merch, we'll bring it to them.
Ooh.
You with it?
I'm with it.
DMV
area, where you at?
Yeah, DMV area, where you at? Ah. Let's get into it.
So we're gonna talk about our second year compared to our first year because believe it or not, y'all, especially if you've been with us since the beginning, we're about to be third year.
Well, we're third years.
I mean, we don't have first years yet. So I'm like,
I'm a third year.
Officially. Period. Point blank period.
And I was thinking about it, it's so crazy because some people, like some of our supporters have been supporting us since our second year of law school.
I know, look at us now.
We are 30 year associates.
Starting from the bottom, now we here.
Starting from the bottom, now we here. Went from the dorm room to our own house. Like, was that a dorm room? A Columbia apartment to our own house.
We like to call it apartments, but those were like basically dorms.
Yeah, we had dorm furniture.
Yeah.
You had dorm mates. So we went from like a dorm room to our own home.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Which is insane. House tour coming soon too.
Fully furnished house tour is coming soon. Yeah. So, all that said, because we are now pretty, I guess you could say, experienced in this whole lawyer thing.
I definitely think we're experienced. We're mid-levels.
Oh my God, don't call me that.
But that is, right? Third year is like a mid-level.
It depends too, because in my firm we're still like, our mid-level academy is 4th year.
That's what it's called, mid-level academy?
That's like their training before you become like officially mid-level. It happens like the beginning of your 4th year. Let's get, I know we've thought about this. We've like make this very thoughtful, so.
We have, and that's why this is our next topic, because Angel has a very different experience than I have.
Yeah.
You know, like even just to give some background for anyone who's watching this video and doesn't watch our prior videos, I have been working at the same law firm that I summered at. So I've been at my firm since 2018, and Angel.
Yeah, I just got to my firm 6 months ago. So my second year was a little unique because I left my firm in the middle of it and went to a new firm that had a new culture, new practice, everything. So not the same experience as Sam. So
I guess I'll start.
Okay.
So I felt that the narrative was that your first year is your most difficult year, but I thought that my second year was much more difficult than my first year.
Ooh, why?
It kind of mirrored law school. Well, before I even get into why, it kind of mirrored to me the narrative about law school that 2L year is so much better. 1L year is so stressful. This
People
is the hardest time of their life.
life.
Because I just thought that wasn't true, and you could watch one of our old videos. I've said that I thought that was not true. I thought my 2L year was much more difficult than my 1L year, although there is a lot less anxiety. And I think maybe that's what drives the narrative, because even as a second year associate, there's much less anxiety than you have as a first year associate. And I think that that's because you kind of gain an understanding about what is important, what's not important, what is this timeline. You know who you can piss off, who you can't piss off. You know how to triage, like all those kind of things. But I thought,
that's a key word.
I thought that my second year was much more difficult than my first year because all of the tasks, assignments, responsibilities that you had as a first year, I don't think you gave up any of them. I retained everything I was doing as a first year, but also I became a reviewer for so much stuff.
Yeah.
And I became responsible for so much more stuff. Even if it just comes to like billable hours, like I billed maybe, well, a whole probably 1/3 more than I billed as a first year, as a second year. I was working longer days, and I just think that you don't really start giving up junior tasks until you get to your third year. So I had all of the tasks that I had as first year, but now I had to manage people, and I had to train people, and I had to review all this work. So it was like, let's say we review subscription books a lot for Fun School. So let's say I had to review 20 sub books. I also had to secondarily review 20 sub books from the first year.
Things for a subscription?
Yeah, so sub book is a sub book. Yeah, subscription booklet.
You always be like, I can do sub books. I never knew what you meant.
Yeah, those subscription booklets. So you literally, even though reviewing doesn't take as long as doing, that's like double the workload a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Is it subscription sub book? Sorry, this is off topic. Is that like them joining something? What is that?
yeah, well, a sub book for funds is what each investor fills out to show that you like meet the requirements to invest in the fund. So yeah, so that's like done on the junior level
Got
for
it.
funds.
Got it. I'm learning with y'all. No, that makes sense. I worked less with first years than you did. So my first and my second year were like kind of the same. I was doing pretty much all the same stuff. Every once in a while, I needed to explain something to someone. For my old firm, when I was transitioning off of stuff, I like had a lot of like training to do with people, and like I took it very seriously. I was like writing up Word documents because I hate the feeling of like walking into something and it's like, what do I do and no one's giving me direction. I don't like that part of big law culture. So I put a lot of time into like explaining what the new first years had to do. But then once I got to my new firm, and even I think at my old firm too, like my practice, I just wasn't gonna be working. You don't need 2 juniors on a lot of this stuff. So I ended up pretty much having like not an identical year, but like pretty similar. And then on top of that, like switching practice groups and stuff, like I just wasn't in a position to like train somebody else. I was learning it. I'm still learning it. Yeah, I didn't have that as much of that added responsibility as you did, which like from the outside looking in, it seemed like a lot. That feeling of, ooh, I don't really know what I'm doing. Whenever you have your first year, I feel like that just went away from me.
Really?
Like maybe like last month. It's like I guess for basic tasks, yeah, I know how to maintain a checklist. I know how to do like certain things. And then when we had to train first years when they first got here, I was like, oh, I learned more than I thought. But still that feeling of like, is this right? Am I doing this right or whatever? I think I'm just now coming into my third year. I'm just now feeling like more comfortable.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think I had that aha moment the beginning of my second year where I started to understand what everything was. So even if I don't understand a task substantively, I know what you're saying. I understand the words. I understand the language. So I can go in and look at precedent to see if it's correct. Still, absolutely, I'm going to get things wrong in the first crack. But I do feel like even when I get it wrong, I understand what I did wrong.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the aha for me.
Yeah.
So should I pull out the list? I haven't done a list for one of these videos in so long. Okay, so I guess another part of what I felt was different between first and second year was the fact that people know you now. So there's no hiding. Like, there's no hiding. At a very large law firm, it's obviously easy to like fall through the cracks, or maybe if you want to intentionally hide, but like people know you. It's not one of those, you know, your first 3 months, oh, who's that? Oh, okay, you're looking for, it's like they're looking to staff something, they know you. They're gonna call your phone, like, hey Sam, remember that deal we worked on a year and a half ago? You wanna like
that starts happening towards the end of your first year. I feel like people are like, I've worked with you. Or for me, it was like I've worked with you. Like, oh yeah, we have this amount. We thought of you. I'm like, I thought of Angel. Like, I'm trying to have a chill week. Yeah, people. But yeah, my second year, people definitely know.
You have a reputation now. So if you're the person that stays up late all the time, it's too late to shake it. You've owned it now. You're that person.
Yeah.
You start to know.
I didn't even think about that.
I was gonna say, I feel like I start to know my strengths and weaknesses. My real strengths and weaknesses. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh yeah, I'm a perfectionist. No, like I really know what I'm not good at this job.
I just my weakness. Some people were like, I just give too much to everything. It's like
I lose time because I just want to give my best. That's fake.
killing me.
That's fake. What are you not good at? Are you not good at talking to clients? Are you not like what are you nervous about? What are you not good at? It's like I know my real genuine weaknesses at this job.
And I guess the benefit too is that like you've had your first round of reviews, and for me, some of my reviews were like stuff and stuff. Some of them are like, oh, good attitude and stuff, like things that are not that helpful.
But that does matter.
I guess so. But then
yes.
like I had some like real reviews of like hear some constructive criticism or whatever. It's like now, I guess in my second year, I was like working with those things in mind. So I feel like I actually, in some ways, I got better. Like I got better.
Definitely.
At the job. Yeah.
But I don't know if that's time or if that's really the advice and the criticism. I always think about that.
But I wouldn't have gotten it yet if I was in the second, like if I was the first year.
I'm saying, but so you could have gotten better over time. You've done the job for 2 years. So it's like, that's something I think about.
Like,
too.
wasn't the criticism where I would have just got better?
Yeah, because like, for example, like one of my things that I struggle with is like working with specialists and getting them stuff immediately. Mm-hmm. So like, I was really intentional about that, but I also think like, okay, what if I was just the first year?
That's
like,
true.
I would have just gotten better at the same way. That's a random side.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And for me, one of the things, what I thought about when I was like, I got constructive criticism, that someone I worked with would just like, make sure you change your tone, like your email tone based on who you're talking to. Mm-hmm. So I feel like when I first started work, it was just like, everyone's, I don't know, like an email, work emails, a work email.
An email is an email.
Yeah, like I wasn't thinking like, this email is going to a client versus this one's going to a specialist versus this one's going to a partner versus one, like, I had the same mindset for everybody.
So everyone gets what we'll do.
Yeah, everyone gets the same thing. Yeah, but then once you told me that, I was like, oh, and I started like paying more attention. I'm like, okay, I need to add some more fillers if I'm talking to this person, and like add more explanation for this person or whatever. So yeah, you're right. Maybe I would have like just picked up on that.
Yeah,
but I was really intentional about looking for that after she told me that.
So one that I've thought about that I guess is a positive and a negative is like you're no longer as disposable as you were.
Oh, are you gonna say the negative is vacation?
No, not even vacation. The negative is like, well, I guess that is, it could be vacation. The first year is like anyone could do your job. Mm-hmm. But once you become a third year, when it comes to like the institutional knowledge of clients, or like even the institutional knowledge of the job, like I understand why the bonus jumps so much as you get into your third or your fourth year, because like those people really are no longer disposable. Like you invested, you invested 2 years into me. Like there are clients that I've worked on since I was a summer associate. So that client knows me. If I quit this job tomorrow, that client is not going to want to up and start calling someone else's phone on the weekend. The positive, obviously, is that you're more valuable to the firm, but the negative is that, like, you can't get off of things. But you know where everything is, so even if you do get off of it, people are going to still bother you all the time. Like, there are definitely people that have been off of deals for, like, 2 years now, and I still have to sometimes be like, hey, like, I see based on the DMS that you're the one that worked in this document.
And that's the reason why I'm so selective now what I say yes to. Because like when I first started, I guess this goes back to like our previous point. People will lie to you and be like, we just need you for 2 weeks on this one thing, or it's gonna be super quick. Once you attach your name to something, someone can come to you in months and be like, what was that one little bitty tiny detail about the deal again? So now I'm like, let me be selective, because so you hit me up about something I worked on for 1 week a long time ago. And like as you get more senior, those things they're hitting you up about could be like further and further in the past.
Yeah. I was speaking to one deal team because I'll be moving soon, details to come soon, about if I wanted to stay on. And that was one of the things they pitched. It was like, well, I mean, it's really hard to like teach someone else this institutional knowledge that you have. It's easy to teach the skills, but you know the client. Yeah. Right? So that's like a big positive for you if you want to stay
and
on.
And even soft
negative.
Like you know things about that client's personality. Like you know like for this client in particular, don't be emailing them past. Wow.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, those things are hard to teach.
Yeah.
I think, besides just like being on it. So.
Yeah, for sure. Another one that I thought about in your second year, you have to be responsible for your career now. Where I think that as a first year, you take whatever you get. You take whatever you get. You learn whatever you want from people. You ask questions, this and that. But once you become a second year, I think it's time for you to really understand, like, I like this, I don't like this. I need to say no because I don't want to be stuck on a deal for 6 months for something that I don't like. There's a certain type of work that I want to do more in my practice group, and I feel like as a second year, that's when it came time to really say like, hey, let me transition onto this. You really had to take charge of your career, in my opinion, as a second year. Whereas the first year, I was just taking whatever came to me. Okay, I'll be up until 8, sure. I'll have to work super late, sure. Like whatever it was, but now it's like, okay, I can't balance both these deals at once. I want to go down this path. I want to work with these people. I want to, I don't know, work in this group for this office. Like all those kind of things I think are up to you now, where people will really hold your hand for sure. To the extent they will in Big Law. Because I do think it is a very like self-starter career period.
I mean, I think it should be, but I think surprisingly, I feel like there are a lot of passive people in Big Law. I'm like a little bit surprised by that.
I think it's passive to an extent. I just don't think there's a room for a lack of independence. I think you get fired after your second year. Like whenever I hear stories of people getting fired, it's always like, well, they had to keep telling him to do X. They had to keep telling her to do Y.
But I don't mean in terms of that. I feel like you have to be active in terms of like responsiveness. when it comes to like the direction of your career, I think it's easy to be passive and just kind of like go with the flow of the firm's needs and like not ever take an active stance like, no, I'm not doing this type of work anymore. No, I'm not like, you know, like I feel like there's not as many people like that as I would have expected. I felt like I came in like I'm trying to do this, and that. And people, like the staffers really liked it, that I was like that at my old firm.
I think it gives them less work to do.
Yeah, it's like, I want to work with this person. I want to work on this type of deal.
Like, it gives them less work to do.
I was so like aggressive about it, but whatever.
So another thing that I thought was a lot more difficult is that you work a lot closer with partners. At least I did in my second year. I worked very closely with partners, so it's like all of the stuff you may have been nervous about that you can pitch to a third or a fourth year in the past. There are some deals that are leanly staffed, so it could be like you and a partner, or you, someone and a partner. And if that someone is on vacation, it's you and the partner. So I don't know, the stakes just felt a lot higher for some deals. It was like, dang, you know, I have to really make sure I run like Change Pro and make sure like that comma is where that comma needs to be. Like that definition is underlined. All of the things that a junior associate is supposed to have done perfectly, you better make sure it's done perfectly. And granted, like, you know, all the partners aren't gonna be like super anal about that, but it does make you feel that the stakes are higher. And for some deals, or a lot of deals, like there's no longer someone reviewing everything. It's like it's going from you to the client. Just because there's no time in between. And it feels good though when you do it and say, oh yeah, I don't need anybody to review this. But sometimes when you're doing it for the first time, it's nerve-wracking. It's like, okay, you sure? You sure you want it to go from Sam to the client? Back to Sam, back to client. Yeah, okay, cool. It's like, yeah, I trust that you can do this.
Yeah. No, I like, I agree, this doesn't fully represent my experience because so my first year, I had a huge part of my time was spent with like me and a partner directly, my favorite partner in my old firm. But he was just so cool that like it didn't feel as nerve-wracking. But now that it happens, it's scary. It's like scarier now than it was when I was the first year. It could be like.
No, that's what I'm saying because it didn't matter.
Maybe so. Maybe not like I think my expectations. I was like, y'all don't expect much from me. But now I'm like, oh, y'all expect me to like get this.
I also feel like it wasn't, y'all don't expect much. I mean, I think that is 50% of it, but the other 50% of it is like the understanding that you are a junior.
Yeah.
It's like now it's like, all right, you done did it for 18 months.
Yeah.
Like
that's
what was going on
like,
here?
if I would have messed up or if he like ever gave me comments, I was like, okay, I can always just be like, oh, first year, I haven't done this much. But now it's like, girl, there ain't no reason why there was a typo, like, or whatever. I mean, that doesn't happen.
I think now you have to ask good questions. Like I always aim to ask good questions, but I do think there's a certain level of grace that's no longer given.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's just like, and I expect it to no longer be given, right? Because everyone has, no one can sit here and waste time. It's like, also like, I feel like there are a lot of things that I'm like running. That's kind of difficult.
I want some grace still. Like part of it is scary. Like, you know, when you first become like adult, like I guess like a baby adult, and it's like I want to be, I don't know, it's like I want to be treated like a kid.
I don't want to be an adult to your adult.
Yeah, but it's like I don't want to be. Ooh, that's too much.
Too much. Too much. Give me some grace.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So something that I also have noticed as I've become more senior is that you're expected to be more involved in the firm culture and also in recruiting and things like that. So on top of the fact that you're working more, you're expected to do more, know more, you also are expected to interview. You know, everyone's expected to do their part, whether that's interviewing or attending events or things like that. You know, you have to know your thing. So like I don't interview just because that's not my thing. If people really, really needed an interview, I would interview, but interviewing is not my thing, right? So, but I'll attend events, I'll speak on panels, I'll do one-on-ones with law students and with like laterals. I think that all is expected, that you give at least a little bit of your time to the firm. More time you can give more time if you want, you can give less time if you want, but it's expected for you to put some time in, and as a first year, it's just not, because the only people that may even want to talk to you are summer associates, right? Like no lateral is gonna ask you about your career when you're a first year. So like that has taken up like a lot of my time too. Yeah. And getting really involved. And a lot of it is because I like it, but yeah, that's a lot of time.
I didn't really, well, it's hard, yeah. So one thing, it's hard for me to tell the differences because, like I said, I moved firms my second year. So although I did do more interviews here, I kind of thought like, oh, this firm's different. But you're right, like it could be because I'm like more senior now.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But I'm like you, I don't turn them all down, but I limit extremely the number that I'm willing to do. One, because I'm not going to be anyone's prop. So if I feel like it's a prop situation, I'll turn it down. But beyond that, it's like we're busy. I just like do, like you said, like try to do my part, but I'm not like excessively involved in interviewing.
So the final thing that came to mind when I thought of the differences between my second and first year is that you are truly expected to know the lingo by now. You're expected to use the language. I even think socially you're kind of expected to use the language.
And I think it happens naturally. Like, you know when you just, I don't know, when you're around something so long, you just all of a sudden you're like, when did I start saying that? I think that happens too.
Definitely. That's like the other day, I remember vividly as hell, like Angel, when someone said for the first time to me, like, I'll fall on the sword. Angel was like, what the hell? Like, why are people talking like this?
Yes.
But then the other day,
she said it.
I said it. I wrote that to someone. I said, don't worry, like, you know, go ahead and send it. Worst come to worst, I'll fall on the sword. And I was just like, I mean, it is what it is.
The
language, surgery, all of that.
It still kills me a little bit. Like, the language in Big Law is so extreme. Like, Sam said it earlier, like, this bloody document. I'm like, y'all, just because a document has a bunch of markups.
It's bloody.
It's not
It's bloody.
Or they like, fall on the sword.
I'll fall on the sword.
If you have to change the document a lot, they'll be like, oh, does the document need surgery? I'm like, y'all, it's no point in acting like what we're doing.
We apply surgery here.
I'm like, we don't need to use life or death language because it's not a life or death job. But people use like the most extreme language to describe stuff, and I'm like, that's something that, I mean, I've like, what's the word called? Like, I've assimilated to a lot of different lingo and stuff. I'm really, really not trying to adopt that. I'm trying my best because I'm just like, come on, y'all. It's a piece of paper. Electrical one at that.
But even literally, though,
electronic
right?
one at that.
So beyond socially, I was also talking about, which I think you'll agree with this part, that you have to use the literal like language and lingo. And like we said a long time ago, it is like learning a new language.
Yeah.
So maybe in my first year, I could have said, well, I was working on that agreement with whatever partner. And I was like, oh, like, I can't remember. But it's like, no. So what are you doing? It's like, okay, I was working on this limited partnership agreement with John
with clients
Smalls.
too. There's like a way you need to talk to clients.
Yeah, like with John Smalls, and we were looking at you know, the conflict section to see if it has like COVID regulations. Like, you're expected to speak like that.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's like, you know better, do better now.
Yeah, beyond just like the cultural language.
Yeah. So what section is it? Oh, it's on page 10. Nah. So what section is it? It's in the conflict section.
It's in the reps and warranties.
Third paragraph. PDF page 12.
Yeah.
So.
No, you're right. You're definitely expected to know like those details. Which, I mean, I'm cool with that part.
I kind of like it though. I know you don't like it, but I do like it.
I just generally corporate speak is hard. It's been hard for me to adopt because it's so like, there's so many euphemisms, and that's not how I communicate. So I'm like, what do y'all mean? Like, what are y'all talking about? And sometimes I have to like run it by Sam and say like, oh, they mean this. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I remember one time I was like, oh no, they're saying
no, you're like, he's definitely telling you to do it.
Yeah.
No.
He said, you said, let me know if you're available to talk at like 10 or something. And he said, got it. Something like, I'm available now, or like I'm available until something. And then you were like, is he telling me to like send it and call him? And I was like, oh yeah, he's saying call him right now. He's not saying.
Well, it happened another time too. I said I couldn't get to something. They're like, oh, okay. If I get to it first, I'll do it. But like, otherwise, you do it, or something like that. And I was like, okay, cool. Sam was like, no, he's telling you to do it.
Well, I think that's a little different.
I was like,
because that's more like, I could tell from that man's personality, he's never gonna get to it.
Okay.
It's like, because I think that people do that. Like, people that are more senior, they're like, oh, like, you can't get to this yet? Like, they'll push till you get to it immediately. And if you say, like, hey, actually, I'm working on X, Y, and Z, I can't get to this until maybe, like, 7. And if their response is, like, get to it as soon as you can, but if not, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
There's just some people you could tell. And there's some people that are genuinely like, okay, we need to get this out. If I can get to this before 7, I will get to it.
Yeah.
But you could tell from the vibe.
Yeah.
From the
I was just like, okay, great. Yeah, like, he'll be able to get to it.
It's like, he's not about to do it. And he didn't, right?
No. But yeah.
That's
what we got for y'all. Hopefully it was helpful.
Yes.
And thanks for listening.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome.
It was good. It was right on point.
Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed our first video back.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll try to do better. We'll try to be a lot more consistent. We'll keep you updated on what's going on with our lives.
Definitely.
And as always, if you like this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. And watch out for more videos.
Peace, y'all.
Cheers.
Peace.